Welcome to the Wayne Bennett podcast, celebrating West Virginia's people, places, and the culture of Southern Appalachia. Now here's your host, Wayne Bennett.
Welcome to the Wayne Bennett podcast. This is episode 35, and I'm your host, Wayne Bennett. I'm here with my wife, Diane.
Good morning.
We had the last two episodes. Ron Cantley was in episode 33, and Jeff Graham was in episode 34. And it kind of brought back a couple memories I wanted to share with you. When Ron was at Park Junior High, he was a science teacher, and he was also the basketball coach. And he then became an administrator. He was an assistant principal under Lester Vaught. And he worked there for a while, and he got an opportunity to take a principal's job at Marsh Fork High School. And the day that he actually found out he had the job, I think the position was empty, and he had to be there the next day. And one of the things, I was a teacher, social studies teacher, and of course a coach. And before he left, he was packing things up. He came up to my classroom and told me that he got the job down there and he was going to be leaving. And he thanked me for we had worked together in some projects and a few things like that And he thanked me for working with him and how much he appreciated everything. And it was very respectful for me that he would do something like that, especially in the hurry-scurry time of trying to get out of there. But it's funny how you remember some of the little things that people do. It doesn't involve money or big ceremonies or things like that. But that's something I never forgot, and that's been over 30-some years ago. And so I appreciate that, Ron. And then Jeff was just in high school when we were working at the Y, but he was there all the time, and he was one of the best volunteers the Y ever had before he actually became an employee. But some of the things that he was talking about, it just got Diane and I thinking about bringing up some old memories of our time at the Y. She was the pre-kindergarten director and the summer camp director, and taught swimming lessons and
Aerobics. I taught aerobics.
Taught aerobics, yeah. What was a couple things that you remember about the day camp?
The biggest thing that we started out at Maxwell Hill Community Center up there. And so most everything that I remember is that on Fridays we would have a gong show, because at that time
You're talking about the summer camp.
The summer camp,
okay.
Yeah. And we'd have a wiener roast, and we'd have the gong show, because that was a real popular TV show at that time, where you would do some acts, and then if they liked you, you went on through, and if not, they would hit a big gong. So I won't call out first names, but the Ritter boys were always a lot of fun to have in day camp. They were growing up, and they always put on the best shows for the gong show, but a lot of the kids participated in that, and of course, then we'd have the big wiener roast at the end of the day. So that was some of the things, one of the things that I really had a good time with.
Now, how many kids did you normally have in day camp?
We could have as many as 50.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the parents dropped them off at Maxwell Hill. And, of course, back then they had a small swimming pool, and so you had, and of course, a playground area. And I remember one time I came up to help you guys out, and we were going to take the kids down to the livestock barn. They had on Wednesdays, they sold livestock, New River Livestock Trade Center there. And to get there from Maxwell Hill, and this is before they had all the new roads, you could go through the woods. There was a hiking trail down through there. and get down there, and they sold cows and pigs and rabbits and everything. And the kids like to go down there. And I came up one Wednesday, and I like to go down there too and look at the animals. And so I was going to lead them down. So we had a big line of kids, and I'm the leader. And somewhere in the woods there, I had walked over a yellow jacket's nest, and it didn't sting me, but as the next few kids that came through, it got several of them. And of course, it took a minute to fathom what had happened, what was going on. And so we had to run all the kids back, and a few of the kids got stung. Luckily, none of them was allergic to bees, stings, or anything, but kind of ruined our trip down. And actually, I kind of felt bad about it because I was the one that actually kind of stirred the bees up. Of course, it might have got more people if it hadn't happened at the beginning, but the kids who actually got stung kind of handled it pretty good, so that they were brave souls. But and now you also taught swimming lessons in the pool at Knoxville Hill.
In fact, that's actually how I got started with the Y. Was they were needing some people to help teach swim lessons, because they had quite a few. Chuck Littlejohn was up there, and a couple of other people, and they just didn't have enough. I hadn't been swimming myself that long, and they asked me if I would come up and help, so I volunteered to go up and help. And I told Chuck at that time, I said, I don't know anything about teaching any swimming lessons. And he said, well, just watch me. He said, and you'll catch on. And I said, okay. So, of course, I did. So that's how I got started at the Y, and then started working with the kids in the day camp.
Yeah, one of the camps that we had, and we tried to offer a variety of camps. You had day camp, you had baseball camp, you had
cheerleading,
basketball camp, cheerleading. I mean, everything you could imagine. But I remember one time Bob Bolin had said he had a fishing camp the year before I had got there. And Bob was an avid fisherman. I think he just started the camp so he could get some fishing in. But when I got there, he said, well, you got to offer this. You're not going to get a lot of kids, but you'll get 10 or 12, and it'll be a lot of fun. It was like a 3-day camp, I think. So I offered the fishing camp, and sure enough, we had 10 or 12 kids sign up. And the first 2 days, and I'm not a great fisherman. Most of the time, I don't catch too many fish, and the people that are with me usually don't catch too many fish either. I think it's kind of a hex. But I took the kids down to Stevens Lake for 2 days, and we caught a few fish, but it wasn't nothing to brag about. But then the third day, Bob told me to take the kids down on the Bluestone River and take them down the Duns. And you had to go through a guy's farm, and you go to the gate, and then you walk up to the guy's house and ask him if you can cross the property to Bluestone, and it was a perfect place to fish. And so I loaded up the kids, went there, and sure enough, get to the closed gate, the end of the road, go up to the guy's house. Sure, yeah, I'll go on down there and fish. And we went down there, and the river was real low. It was in the summertime. And it had this one particular kid. His name was Raymond Powell, and nice young man. And while I was showing some of the kids how to bait their hook and how to cast and do a few things like that, Raymond said, Mr. Bennett, I don't need any help. So my grandfather showed me how to fish. And I said, well, that's good. I'm glad somebody knows what they're doing. So here I am trying to get these other kids situated, and I look over there, and Raymond done threw 2 lines in the water. He had 2 poles. He threw 2 lines in the water. He had a small boom box sitting beside of him. He had the music turned on, and he done opened his lunch pail, and he had a full lunch pail, and he's sitting there eating. And I said, is that how your grandpa taught you how to fish? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, he must have did a good job teaching. And he did. And we had a good time. When we were down there, we got into a school of fish called chubs. And every kid we had caught multiple fish. And they wasn't real big or anything like that, but it was so much fun. And the river was so low, you could get out in it, and the kids would hold their breath and lay on their back and pick their feet up, and they would actually float 10 or 15 yards down, and then get back up and go again. It was one of the best days that I've ever had fishing, and but I don't know what happened to Raymond, but I'm sure if he's still fishing like that, he's still very successful with that. Now, you also were involved in the kindergarten or pre-K or?
Yes. It was called the Readiness Center. Bob and Mel got the idea that they wanted to start preschool, get kids ready for school, and we offered classes in the morning and a different class in the afternoon. But the main thing was that we taught them all how to swim. Uh-huh. So, and of course we would sing songs and things like that. I remember one time Miles Cushman, we were sitting around in a circle and we'd been singing all kinds of songs, and so I said, does anybody have a song that they would like to sing? And he raised his little hand, and he was cutest kid. But anyway, he said, yeah, he says, I want to sing Mama, Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. Well, of course, I really didn't know all the song, but we started out singing it. But he wanted, that was his favorite song to sing. He was a cutie. There were a lot of cute kids, and every now and then I'll run into one of them at church or in the mall or something like that and talk with them about their time at day camp. And some of them have married friends of ours too. So when they come up and I see them with people that I know, it's kind of nice to see that they've done so well.
Another camp that we had in the summertime, I ran the baseball camp for a few years, and it was really interesting. And we had the camp over at Elks Little League, and we would sometimes have a guest instructor, and usually the WVU baseball coach, Dale Ramsburg, who was very successful and really a nice guy. He would come down and spend a day with us, and Dale would always call me ahead of time and want me to get a couple of the good area high school players out there that he might want to look at, to come to WVU. But he was, I learned a lot of baseball myself just from some of the instructors that we had. And so we'd have the camp all week, and usually when they had the Charleston Charlies, they would usually play on a Wednesday or Thursday night while we were having the camp. And we would load the kids up and take the van and some cars and go down, and the Charlies gave us free tickets. And we go down and watch the Charlies play. And this is when they were, I think, playing AAA. Well, they were playing AAA baseball. And so these guys, you might watch them today, and they'd be on a major league team next week, and they're really good. And one particular year, it's when the Charlies were the Houston Astros farm team. And we had Dave Smith and another guy came up, and they spent the day with us. And then we got to go down on Wednesday or Thursday and watch him play. And Dave Smith was he was a pitcher, a real nice guy. And that fall, Dave Smith got called up to the Houston Astros. The Astros made the World Series, and he pitched on television. And I said, I know that guy. He was at our day camp that baseball camp that summer, and he went on and had a really successful career for the Astros. And said, I learned a lot of baseball myself, and those were a lot of fun times. But now, tell us about the time in your schooling that the teaching the kindergarten kids about the time you was going to say the prayer? We were having a banquet or something.
Lord. Yeah. I think Ella and I were together then.
Ella Wynn?
Ella Wynn, yeah. And I always had someone that was with me. You know, we were like co-directors, and we had taught the children a lot of songs and things, and they were going to do an end of the year program. And so we had taught the children the Lord's Prayer, because after all, it is the YMCA, Young Men's Christian Association. So at that time, you could do things like that. But anyway, we had taught them how to say the Lord's Prayer, and they were supposed to be saying it with me. Well, you know, you kind of, when you get into the Lord's Prayer, it's something, you know, that kind of flows. Well, I started it out, well, instead of the kids saying it with me, they would wait for me to say a line, and then they would repeat it. Well, that shook me, and I'm telling you, the prayer completely went out of my mind. The parents were out in the audience, and they were trying to help me, and it was just getting really, really uncomfortable. So I finally just said, oh, well, because I didn't know what to say after that. So very embarrassing, and thank you for bringing that up. I could have went the rest of my life.
Yeah, I think when you get the hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, and everybody just kind of looked and you go, oh, well. And that was it.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the same time, though, but it was, you always had like an awards thing at the end of the term, and the parents it would be a potluck type thing, and the parents would bring food, and you'd eat and have awards for the kids. I know one particular time, I think this was just where somebody messed up, but everybody brought side dishes, but somebody forgot to order the meat or any kind of meat. And so when we got there, we had all this food, but it was vegetables and dessert and casseroles and those kind of things, and so it was kind of more like a vegan type dinner, but it worked out fine. Nobody complained or anything like that.
Well, and one time I'd spent a lot of money getting balloons, and took them up, set them out on the table and stuff, and went home to get dressed and came back, and everyone where they had the air conditioning on, every one of those balloons had deflated and were laying on the table. I was so upset. You want everything to be perfect, and it was not, but we always had a good time, always.
Yeah, the one other summer camp that I had, we had the wrestling camp, and we would get local guys to come in and help us out. The high school guys didn't mind coming at all and working one day, and we didn't even pay them. They just volunteered. And then had a Jerry Cheney from Virginia Tech started coming up, and he would help out one day, and he was the head coach at Virginia Tech and also coached soccer. And nicest guy in the world, and very knowledgeable about the sport. He'd been an All-American at Kansas, and Jerry and I had kept a friendship for quite a few years after that. He'd get me some tickets every once in a while to Virginia Tech football games, especially when they played WVU. But these guys worked as volunteers. I had guys, Gary Bender from Spencer, Fred Strom, Toby Harris, Larry Snuffer, Ed Gilson. All these guys were very helpful in teaching the kids the sport of wrestling. And there's one funny incident about wrestling. The first year that we had it, of course, parents of kids that age, they didn't know too much about wrestling unless they had an older brother that was a wrestler in high school. We didn't have youth wrestling, and they were just getting ready to start junior high wrestling. But I had started the youth program, and so the very first match that we were going to have, I was passing out uniforms to the kids, and we had 4 teams. One of them wore yellow, one of them wore blue, green, red, and on the red team, this one kid, he said, as I was passing them out, and this was the day before the matches started, and we had a lot of kids involved. And I had one kid say, he said, Mr. Bennett, I don't need a uniform. My mom bought me one. And I said, is it a red one? Because that's the color of the team. And he said, oh, yeah, it's red. And I said, well, if you got a red uniform, that's fine. Just want them all to be the same. So we're at the old YMCA, and we're having the first match. And, I mean, it's standing room only. It's packed. And kids are downstairs under the stage getting dressed, getting ready to come out for the first youth competition of the league. And here walks the kid out, and he's got these skin-tight red trunks like the professional wrestlers wrestle. And it's bright red, and he's got a red robe on, and like the professionals used to wear. And he comes out, of course, all the other kids are in a regular wrestling uniform. I said, what are you doing? And he said, this is the uniform my mom bought me. And I said, well, that's not what we wear in the youth. And I mean, it looked good, and it was brand new, but we couldn't let it. But the other kid, it was funny. And his mom didn't know. She thought that was what you did on television. So it made it kind of interesting. But and one of the things you mentioned is swimming. After we moved to the new Y, and then later the Y ran New River Park for a while, and you had your day camp down there too.
That was a really good spot. Yeah, we'd play games and things in the morning, and do arts and crafts and things like that. Everything like that was done in the morning, but then in the afternoon, when the pool opened, we were at the pool the whole time.
Uh-huh.
So it was the perfect place, except on the days that it would rain. It wasn't the perfect place. But, it was... but we had the use of the shelter. And so if it was a rainy day, as long as it wasn't thundering and lightning and stuff.
Who were some of the helpers you had? You had a lot of college and high school helpers, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I can't remember all their names, but... the ones that they sent me from the colleges, they were always good workers. Roberta Tate was one of them. And there were so many, I can't even remember.
Jesse Bandy helped out. Ross. Some of the... I don't know who all they...
Stephen Ross.
Yeah, Stephen. Yeah. He was really good.
Yeah, he was good.
And of course, like I said, everybody that worked on the staff at the Y, you had to learn to teach swimming lessons, jump in there sometime or another. And some of the people that were involved when we were there were in the aquatics department with Susan Lefevre and Doris Lilly and Ella Wynn, Bill Stone, Karen Corey. There was a lot, and a lot of volunteers. So it was...
well, and we even had some high school students. My sister, Dree, and her, at that time, boyfriend, and my sister Dreama, she would come up and she would help with the little ones. And like you said, the Y needed volunteers all the time, and that's that was the backbone, was how many volunteers you could get to help out.
But we've talked long enough. There was just some things that came to mind after the last couple episodes, and we thought we would kind of share these with you. And now, we're looking forward to making some new memories. Always nice to have memories, and we've been blessed, and that's seemed to have been the theme of especially talking with Ron and Jeff, and they brought that up themselves, and so it's like I said, we're looking forward to making some new memories.
One of the things too was that in the very, very beginning, I said to myself, this is the kids' vacation. This is what they're going to be doing all summer. So it needs to be fun.
Yeah.
Because if they had to come every day, then they needed to have a good time while they're doing it. So we tried to make it as fun as possible. We'd take them on trips and have the wiener roasts and shows and swim. And so I think most of them did have a good time.
And it's kind of funny. You'll have we'll present a place like Camp Creek or whatever, and then
Cardifax Ferry, we took them there.
Somebody who is now 50 years old will say, "I remember going there in day camp," and so we made a lot of memories for them too. But if you want to be on our show, we are check us out on Facebook. Send me a note or send me an email, awbennett50@gmail.com, and we've got a big agenda coming for you here in the next few weeks, and it's been a lot of fun. And remember, if you ain't dead yet, you're not done yet. And until next time, God bless you.